Hey, so I started watching this video about game development, and I figured I'd throw in my 2 cents considering, well, frankly, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own money creating commercial indie games. Currently, I'm actually making a game called Twisted Tower, and yeah, it's a huge gamble considering the state of the game industry. Okay, so basically the video talks about why so many indie game developers fail. Look, over 9,000 games were released on Steam in 2020, 10,000 in 2021, 12,000 in 2022, 14,000 in 2023. So with the explosion of AI tools, what do you think is gonna happen in 2024? Yeah, it's gonna be madness. So what does this mean for you? It means that if you're using what marketing guru Jeff Walker is calling hope marketing, you're gonna make what, well, most other game developers are making, and that's about $1,000 in lifetime earnings. As for me, my first and second games combined brought in over $1 million gross revenue. And no, that's not just Steam, and that's kind of my point. So let's talk about what I do to ensure I'm not making no money as a game developer. And by the way, if you want to go deeper into all of this, I have a ton of free workshops for you in the description. I've got a free workshop about how to make 100K with just a demo, and yes, I've actually done this 3 different times. How to get a publisher for your game, or even my course about the handful of ways to make money as an indie. You can check them all out below. They're my treat to you, all free. I just want to see you succeed. Okay, let's go. Have you noticed that the game industry is firing a bunch of people? It's pretty sad, but it's happening. Sure, this is due to the sucky economic conditions, but I believe that there's kind of a secret groundswell going on. The industry is realizing something. Games are getting easier to make. Heck, right now my team size for Twisted Tower is just 2 full-timers. That includes me and Felipe, the 3D artist, and then we also have a part-time developer. All right, so how am I doing this? Well, I use a bunch of assets from the Unity Assets store. I use music from Epidemic Sound and Artlist.io. I use models from TurboSquid, textures from textures.com, and I work with contract workers to get smaller tasks done. Game development tools are just too effective right now. And that includes the new AI tools that are currently being added to Unity and Unreal. These tools are going to become the standard. And sadly, even things like voice acting, music, code, these are all going to be instantaneously created with a single text prompt with almost no money. Game development is getting cheap, really cheap. So if you're gonna survive the industry, you gotta go super indie. That means stay small, stay effective, and get stuff done fast.
But Thomas, the AAA industry has massive teams.
Well, again, look at what's happening. The AAA industry is scaling back a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if the size of AAA teams became so small that basically every studio started looking like indie studios. Okay, so yeah, let's pretend that you've figured out how to produce games cheaply, using AI tools, using assets, using just the great software available to everyone. That's not enough. Now you need to master marketing games. Despite the massive sea of indie games and what I'm gonna call zombie games, aka AI games and asset flip games that are almost certainly going to flood the Steam market in 2025. So here's what you need to do to stand out. I need you to figure out your game's hook, aka what grabs people's attention. The easy way to do this is what I'm gonna call the Trinity Hook. This is your story hook, your mechanical hook, and your visual hook. Draw a freaking triangle, fill in the blanks, and stick to it. Do not deviate from this Trinity Hook. Every decision you make for your game should circle back to these 3 hooks. But here's the kicker. Be sure that your hooks are actually hooks, right? A fast and simple way to do this is just to use what I call the big but principle. For example, Metroid, but with bugs. Stardew Valley, but with cults. First-person shooter, but puzzles. Do you get it? Take a well-known genre, game, or style, and then add a little twist. It works every time. Use this principle to fill in your Trinity Hook and ensure that your game harkens to this over and over and over again. To reiterate, you do marketing so that your game stands out. You create an awesome hook so that your game stands out. Most game developers don't even have one of the elements of the Trinity Hook. Your goal is to diversify. Instead of focusing on one single hook, hey, focus on 3. Then hopefully 1 or maybe even all 3 will actually be a good hook and propel you into the atmosphere and make you a full-time salary as an indie game developer. Okay, so you've again mastered being able to produce games cheaply, and you've also mastered your Trinity Hook. What's the next failsafe? What is the final and most effective failsafe to ensure you don't launch your game and make no money? It's called an audience. I want you to build an audience. See, if you have an audience, not for your game, but for you yourself, you've pretty much locked in a salary as a full-time game developer forever, as long as you keep making content. I mean, seriously, if you can guarantee 10,000 views minimum on a YouTube video or a social post, this means that you can effectively get $500 every time you do an ad read for a sponsorship. Get $500 to $2,000 on Patreon a month. Launch your own game development program. That's what I do. Secure ad revenue. That's what I do. Build a massive email list that you can ping every time you have a crowdfunding campaign. Leverage them to help you secure funding from a massive publisher. Build up your wish list on Steam to over 10,000, which is likely enough to sell your game enough for a full-time salary. That's what I do. And by the way, if this all sounds silly, fake, gimmicky, or an afterthought, please reconsider that. It's insanely important to master building an audience in this new, frankly terrifying era of indie game development. It's what I'm doing right now with this video. Yes, I'm a sleazy salesman. That's what I'm doing in this YouTube video, building an audience. Creating content for social media, it's basically an insurance policy for game developers. You make games and you make content about those games, you build an audience, and they're going to support you through the dark days of game development. You're going to have dark days as a game developer where you're pinching pennies, you're going from paycheck to paycheck. That's okay, that's normal. That's what it means to be an entrepreneur. And that's my plan, that's what I've been doing for the last decade to ensure that I make money as a game developer, and I really think you can do it too. And if it sounds like it's a lot, well, it is. But I'm just telling you what I do, and I'm being completely transparent here. With AI on the horizon, well, frankly, it's here. It's here! With it being on the horizon, we've got to learn to leverage an audience. We've got to learn to leverage marketing and the hooks for our game. We need to leverage the new AI technology or just great technology that's being created for game development tools. And let's be completely honest, even this video is one of my many ways to protect myself and my team from the coming winter in the game development industry.